Recording. Recording started. Transcribing started. You're started.
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast, episode 220. I am your host, Peter Nikolaidis, and joining me, as always, my very good friend and co-host, Adam Bell.
That's me. How you doing, Peter?
That is you. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, yeah. I'm doing well.
Yep.
We're making it through the snowstorm here.
We actually have snow here in Massachusetts, too, and it looks like it might add up to something for the first time this year. We had plenty in Vermont. I haven't checked to see if they're getting more up there yet. Probably will. But as it happens, it's perfect timing because tonight I recently joined a new running club, and I will be joining them on a festive run this evening to go look at all the holiday decorations. So it's like, that sounds like fun. And it's perfect time. I bought a pair of all-weather trail running shoes. Technically they're trail runners, but if the sidewalks are going to be slippery and snowy, I think that justifies.
Yeah.
So perfect timing. Get some sun, get some snow. It'll look like Christmas outside.
I know. When I say we got snow, we got we got a couple of flakes, that really didn't even make it to the ground, but we got some.
We got at least a couple inches outside, and it's still coming down. And apparently, a winter weather advisory was put out today too until tomorrow. So it may keep going for some time.
So you know what? We take a guess at what we did on Tuesday. I mean, I might as well ask you, what's in my pocket?
You drank a beer?
No, we went.
You told your wife you loved her.
I did do that.
I was
every
right.
day.
Yeah, I was right.
No, we went and saw White Christmas at the theater. They were doing a special event showing.
That sounds racist.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was. I mean, I
don't think it was. Yeah, but a racist wouldn't think that it was.
No, I guess not. I would be unaware, but I do not remember any derogatory language of any kind towards anybody. But
I'm just trying to position my iPad optimally so I don't have. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
All right. Trying to do this without glare.
Yeah.
Turn off third floor lights.
There you go.
Which assistant will actually respond and do what I say? That's the question.
Yeah. Hey.
Ta-da! Is that better?
Yeah, it is better.
Okay.
Plus,
Sweet.
Probably any viewer would appreciate that too because it keeps reflecting. But so anyway, back to White Christmas. So that movie is now, it's the 70-year anniversary of it.
Okay.
Now, and
so people have been dreaming for a long time.
They've been dreaming for a long time. And so at the time they shot it in what they called VistaVision. And I learned this in the movie theater thing. They were doing the presentation for it. So they shot in VistaVision. So instead of horizontal, they said they did, instead of vertical lines, they were recording horizontal lines. And so they had very wide angle lenses. And so 70 years later, they're able to display that movie in every format that we enjoy today on widescreen because they shot it so big back then. And it was, 70 years ahead of its time, which is pretty impressive.
So future-proofed. They future-proofed their recording.
Yeah. So, I mean, how you watch, if you watch Charlie Brown, it's in a 4:3 aspect. It's practically square no matter what you do on your TV. If you stretch it, you skew it out of bounds,
But you'd expect Charlie Brown to be practically square because he's a blockhead.
I knew it was coming. So, but that was pretty cool, and it was fun to see that in the theater. I mean, we watch it every year. That's a staple for us.
Cool.
That was cool.
I haven't watched any Christmas things yet this year. I saw it feels like I just did last year. I watched the one I think you recommended, the Scrooged version, the Christmas Carol with Will Ferrell and
Uh-huh.
Ryan
Spirited.
Ryan Spirited, yes. So but it feels like I just watched it. I mean, it was
Yeah,
a year ago, but it feels like I just watched it. So
that's funny. So
yeah.
we watched that last night.
No, there you go. So timely. So,
No, and it was good. It still stands up. It's funny in a musical.
yep. No, it's good. I enjoyed it. So it was fun.
So did you just do that thumbs up, or did it auto thumbs up for us?
I did not did it. I was just scratching my back. I don't know.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know what happened, but there was this bubbles in the middle of the air that
Yeah.
gave the thumbs up, and it's
I don't recall. And of course, this always happens though. And I try to do it and it doesn't work. So I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no. So,
Up yours, no, up yours.
yes. Oh man.
Oh, so well, cool. Yeah, so we're getting ready. You know, this will be our. I'm assuming this is going to be our last podcast of the year. So the Christmas
Correct.
episode. So in this, so this recording is the second time that we've done Google Meet.
Yes.
Primarily because I'm not going to pay for Zoom, the good version. But the one
The paid
bummer,
version.
one bummer that I found is that, you know, I'm recording, and my only option is to record into the cloud, and so
Yes.
that means our video and audio goes into the cloud. And I didn't receive the audio last time for 2.5 hours. Of course, it's got to do it, you know. How
It's
and I was like,
free.
okay,
You get what you pay for.
yeah. Well, I'm paying for it. Because I'm paying for Google.
Oh, you got that's right. That's right. This is right. This is a Google business account. Right.
Yeah. So I'm paying for it. That's why I didn't buy Zoom, is I didn't want to double up on my payments, because I'm already paying for a platform. But anyways, it did. You know, it took 2.5 hours for me to get access to the files, but it did significantly increase my publication in YouTube, because it was already in Google.
Okay.
You know.
So they're charging you for the space, but that's it.
Yeah. But well,
That's
what I
awesome.
mean is, normally when I publish, I upload the file to YouTube, and it takes it, you know, it takes it about 30 to 45 minutes for it to review it, publish it, make it happen.
Got it.
And so since it was already in Google, it was more or less instant as soon as I created the upload or created the video for it.
Got it. I thought I misunderstood for a second. I thought you were saying that like YouTube had it before you had your copy of it.
No,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
But they probably
I
did.
mean, yeah, they probably did. Yeah. I mean, that's to be expected though, because you're moving, you know, from Google data center to Google data center. So that's okay. So
Do you
yep.
know that you're sideways?
I didn't touch it. I look down now and I see I'm sideways. What the? Oh,
There you
wow,
go.
that's
Now you're
awesome.
right.
Good job, Google. No, I mean, literally, my iPad is sitting here on my coffee cup, just sitting here at my side, so I can look at the show notes here. And oh
Mhm.
man. Anyway, yeah, what else is going on?
So kind of a follow-up from Apple Intelligence on my phone.
Yes.
So I could not get it to make phone calls. I turned Apple Intelligence off. Phone calls
Yes.
started working again.
Oh, so Apple stupidity lets you make phone calls.
Yep. Stupid version works just fine. And
Excellent.
and it would read my messages. But now Apple Intelligence reads my messages. So it wasn't, but now it is.
So just toggling it then? Just turning it off and on, or?
No. I didn't even try to it's still off on my phone, but on my Mac here, I was just fooling around with it, and I told it to read my messages, and it did
So
with
bizarre.
Apple Intelligence, but it wouldn't do that before. It's probably just been a feature update.
Turning things off and on again fixes stuff, though. We know that, right? So yeah. I got my iPhone. So I set my iPhone 14 in for service. I guess it was last week. And it's because the battery was reported in like general settings, general battery. It reported that the battery is not healthy.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I've been paying for Apple Care on this thing. Let's get my money's worth. I went to the UPS store, handed them my phone in a box. I see I'm sideways again. I don't know why. Gave it to them, got it back yesterday or day before yesterday, and it's fine. Put in a new battery. It's great. They did not preserve my cell program, even though I told it keep the SIM and stuff. So I had to reactivate it, but thankfully I was able to reactivate it without having to talk to anyone at Verizon.
Ah, brilliant.
So I was able to go into my my Verizon portal, not walk in, log in. And I just went to a thing where I found my phone and it was like transfer number or add a line or something like that. And I was able to transfer my number from my iPhone 14 to my iPhone 14.
Okay.
And it just worked. And so this time because when I got my new 16, I migrated everything from my 14 up to my 16. So I didn't have to reinstall everything. So this time I went back the other way and I've restored my 14 from a backup of the 16. So I'm back to having a spare phone and a carry phone. And I promptly enabled beta updates on the 14. So it's going to iOS 18.3 at this point. So
very cool.
But now that I'm thinking about it, probably should do it the other way because it can't take advantage of all the Apple Intelligence stuff because it's only a 14. So, what are you going to do?
No.
All right. What else we got?
All right. So one of the things that was in our Nifties, and it's actually been there a while and we've never actually talked about it, was you had some home gym equipment that you were looking at. Did you, did you get those nifty things, and do you have a home gym that
I didn't? So I did buy some extra home gym stuff this year on Black Friday. I did not buy a new weight bench. I did not buy a new adjustable barbell set. I was looking, or a dumbbell set. I was looking. One of the things I was looking at was an adjustable dumbbell, barbell, kettlebell combo. So you unscrew the various parts. If you replace the bar with the middle one, you get a barbell. If you replace it with little ones, you get dumbbells. And if you replace it with half and a handle, you get a kettlebell. It looked pretty cool, but I figured since I'm going, the idea was one of my sets would stay in Massachusetts, the other would live up in Vermont. But since I'm going to be in a sling for 5 weeks coming up, not too long, I figure I don't need 2 weight sets right now. So instead of saving like 40% on Black Friday, I saved 100% by not buying it.
There you go.
So there's that. I did, however, buy 3 new physio balls, also known as yoga balls, 55 and 65 centimeters. So that I have a 55 and a 65 in each location, 1 in Vermont, 2 in Vermont, 2 in Massachusetts. And I also bought a couple of new foam rollers.
Yeah.
I am a convert to foam rolling. I try to do it every day now, and it makes a huge difference. I first noticed it when it was a few weeks ago, maybe a little more than a few weeks ago at this point. My personal trainer told me, says, yeah, you should start doing your foam rolling. It'll really help. And I was like, okay. And the way I work is like, if I don't feel something, I don't keep up with it. That's why I'm bad at like taking my vitamins. And because I pop vitamins, I don't feel anything. I don't do it,
Yeah.
But what I was doing was I was downstairs in my kitchen and I was kneeling down to try to get some bowls out of a low cupboard. And so I did that. And as I knelt down, and I was like, oh man, getting up is going to be hard, from this. And I just stood right back up with no problem. I was like, holy moly, that's pretty cool. So, and the only thing was that I had foam rolled
Hmm.
about an hour beforehand. So I was like, all right, that's worth doing. I'm going to keep
Yeah,
doing that. And so I have been. I've kept up with it, and it feels pretty good. So,
cool. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting some gear down at the farm. I mean, I'm not going to build a whole gym. I mean, I want to have the ability to do a workout if I'm down there for a week or so. I mean, and be able to do some things, but I've got to get my shoulder squared away. I hurt it in February and it still hurts now. And I still haven't done the physical therapy on it, but I can't really do the CrossFit movements that I need to do with my shoulder hurting. I can't do any
right.
pull-ups. I can't do any
Yep.
pulls. And there are a lot of pulls. There's pull-ups. There's we do toes to bar, which is not, I
Yep.
mean, it's shoulder, you're going back and forth within your shoulders and it just hurts. And then
Yeah.
all the pulls that you're pulling for the Olympic lifts are all in your shoulders. Like, well, I'm really, I hate going to CrossFit because it just really, really hurts. And since it just hurts, it's not actually getting it better. I need to figure out what's
Yeah.
causing
No,
it.
you're probably just hurting yourself more. You're just prolonging the agony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So my after the Christmas holiday is going to be physical therapy.
Yay. Don't you feel old now?
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, you know, it's funny. So we went to Mexico at the beginning of December, and I did yoga while I was down there. I mean, I did maintenance yoga just to keep
Yep.
stretching because I'm on other beds, not my own. And we got through, and I was like, "This is awesome. My back doesn't hurt. I've been, you know, I did push-ups, I did sit-ups, I did yoga, and everything felt good." And then I got home, and you know, like a week later, my back just started hurting for no reason whatsoever. I didn't injure it. I didn't get well. I guess
It's
you
great
know,
to be
like you
young.
said,
That's all I'll say is it's great to be young.
yeah, youth is wasted on the youth.
Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, so I have, and I mean, we're gonna go some technical things. I wanted to popcorn over at you. So I have to do employee evaluations. And so I created a folder in my OneDrive and I shared it with my operations manager for for us to be able to collaborate on these employee evaluations. We did them.
Okay.
Well, instead of her sending them via email, she sent them via the option of SharePoint link. So
I dealt with this very same issue just last week, but let's
yeah,
keep
yeah.
going.
So then the employees get edit access to their HR file that we're working on, and anybody who has the link can then edit that file, which I don't want. And I don't want her to have the ability to share something that I've shared with her. I mean, I couldn't figure out the granularity of doing that. Was that your
Sharing is
experience?
sharing.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what I thought you were going to talk about. Mine was I wanted to share an Excel spreadsheet with a client of mine
Mm-hmm.
because we were reviewing their vulnerability management reports, and I'd made a bunch of analyses in this Excel spreadsheet. So I had just edited the file, and in Outlook I said, let's share this, attach this file, but it didn't attach it. It attached a link to it in
Oh yeah.
SharePoint.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this client is not in my corporate SharePoint. He's in his own
Mm-hmm.
SharePoint.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, yeah, it's telling me to log in. I'm like, hang on. Browsed on the file system, dragged and dropped into an email and sent it as an attachment. But that's
Mm-hmm.
not the same. Yes, that's not the same issue. Whoa, almost knocked my phone off the coffee cup here. So iPad, I should say. So yeah, that's not what I was thinking it was. So anyway, so what did you do?
One, I revoked all the links that she created by sending them to SharePoint files, and then I removed her access to the files, and then I emailed her the files. But
She,
because
of course, yeah, of course, she could in turn email those files out to somebody else,
and that's fine. But I didn't want the team to be able to edit their own files in my master folder.
right? So that's interesting, though. You sharing a file in your own thing, there's got to be a way to prevent transitive sharing abilities.
Yeah, there's got to be, but I didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't immediate in there, so I'm thinking that it's something I have to dig for, because it shouldn't be on by default. Because we shouldn't be able to share something and then that person turn around and share it. I mean, and theoretically, that person could then turn around and share it.
But the default is to, Microsoft wants things to just work. So, but they sent out a note saying that security is their top priority a couple, month or two back. So I'm sure everything's fine.
Yes, I'm okay. Well, I'm sorry I even brought it up then.
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking. Oh man.
All right. So then I'm in process right now of swapping out my main home Windows computer. My home office computer. So I've been using a Nook, and within my old Nook that I installed in 2019, I have the OS hard drive, and then I drop a 1 terabyte SSD in it, and it's a junk drive. So if I download an ISO, I drop it in there. It's something that I'd like to keep, but if the whole hard drive died, I wouldn't. It's all stuff that I could re-download. So it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I do back it up like once a month just for the hassle factor.
Mm-hmm.
But I forgot about that stupid terabyte drive when I bought my replacement Nook, because it doesn't have a slot for that additional drive.
Well, Nooks they're not renowned for their large, plethora of available slots.
Yeah. So, but my other one was a stack, like a double stack, so I could fit an NVMe drive in it, and then I could also get an SSD in there. But I can only get one. So that's the shame on me. I should have done a little bit more research, but I bought it because I was irritated. My original Nook had an HDMI video problem, and every once in a while, the video just goes out on my primary monitor. And the only way to get it back is to shut the system off and turn it back on.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, that's really a first world problem. And it really is. But it is really annoying when you have been working on the computer and you go upstairs for lunch and the screen went to sleep, and you come back and you can't access the computer again.
Yeah, it's annoying. Like it's almost as annoying as having your camera just rotate itself 90 degrees every couple of minutes for no apparent reason.
For no reason whatsoever. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching the iPad. It's right there, and just it rotates. Okay, sure.
So so that was my problem, and I got so irritated. I was like, you know what, enough. I'm tired of. I've been dealing with this for 5 years. I've tried multiple drivers. It's a known issue with this particular chip back then.
Mm-hmm.
The new chips replace it, so I'm gonna get another one, and I got another one, but I forgot about that drive storage on there. So I'm like, okay, well, one of the things I do with that junk drive is I will make that the cache folder for my OneDrive. So when OneDrive, I don't want it on my operating system drive, because that data is, it's copies of multiple copies of the data. So I don't need to back it up or anything like that, because I do back up my workstation. So I put it in that junk drive, and I was like, oh, I can't put OneDrive on a network drive. So I need to have a local drive, and I'm like, I'll use iSCSI for that. I'll mount a local iSCSI drive to my Nook from my server. So well, I was hoping to do that from my file server, which is Windows 10, and you can't create an iSCSI target on Windows 10. You've got to do it on server, which is not a problem because I have a file server that I use. And if both of us were SAN engineers, we'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's obvious," you know.
But I never have been, nor have I pretended, nor claimed to be a SAN engineer.
Yeah, we're security engineers and networking engineers. So the it's like, all the, like I said, the SAN engineers are out there smacking their heads like, duh, But so the cool thing is, I'm on my file server. I'm setting up iSCSI. I'm dropping a 2 terabyte drive in there that I'm able to map as a local drive via iSCSI on my NUC, so I can keep these arbitrary junky files that I don't necessarily want to delete, but I don't want to give them priority for backups or anything like that. So now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah. Well, and one of the problems with my old computer too was I was going to have to do a wipe and reload because I had a update to a Windows 11, one of the like roll up patches for 2023 that will not roll in, and I can't get it to roll in. I've tried, Scan Now, I've tried DISM. DISM fails at 4%, and so the only option was to wipe it and reload it anyway. So I'm like, if I'm going to wipe and reload, I'm going to get 5 years younger hardware.
I mean, getting 5 years younger sounds okay to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd love 45 again. So, and then I had one other question for you. Have you done 10 gig Ethernet at home yet?
I have not. I had Cat 6 cable run, but it wasn't like by a certified Cat 6 installer. It was just my electrician. So, I just bought a big spool of real fat, stiff Cat 6 cable. And I have run from my basement to my living room. And I have a small hub there or switch there for all of like the home entertainment stuff. So Sonos, Apple TV, some other stuff there is all wired. And then I have another run. I don't remember now if it goes from there upstairs or to my office/gym room, or if that's a home run down to the basement. So essentially I have 2 lines, 2 Ethernet cables, and I'm using just 1 gig switches, just leftover stuff from the Paradigm days that I had reclaimed from customers when they were going out of business or ending our contracts and stuff. And I was like, 1 gig Ethernet, it's fine for me for what I do. So
yeah. Well, that's kind of been me. And I have said if my switch fails, then I will replace it with a 10 gig because I ran Cat 6 when I did all my renovations. But the switch that I installed has now been in there for 16 years. It's a little Netgear, and it's a dumb Netgear. I mean, it's a dumb switch, no managed packet, but it just keeps running.
And wait, and how fast is it again?
It's a 1 gig.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 10100.
16-year-old. I mean, it must have been a little pricey back then, though, huh?
It was a little pricey. Yeah, it was like a 24 port. I think it was like $300, and it was refurbed. So it was.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, if they work, they work.
Yeah.
I've got a few little HP ProCurve 18, I think they're 1810s, I want to say. And they've got, they support VLANs, and they're manageable switches and stuff, and you can do cool things with them. At this point, I don't think I do any of that with them. I think they're just pretty much straight. But along those lines, what you're talking about, like, I'm just going to replace this or whatnot. It was at least a couple years ago, I bought a little Belkin USB-C Ethernet adapter. Coincidentally, I also have here a genuine Apple 100
Wow.
megabits, 100 megabit Ethernet adapter. This thing is sluggardly. It's really
Yeah.
super slow. I keep it around just for emergencies. But I had been using it, and then only recently did I realize just how terribly slow that thing was.
Yeah.
So I found my little Belkin, and so I dug that out, and I just was using it. And every now and then, my connection would just drop, like for no apparent reason, like just stops passing traffic. Unplug the adapter, boom, everything immediately it goes on to Wi-Fi. Everything is working fine again.
Hmm.
And I had just purchased a nifty. I bought some USB-C, I think Thunderbolt 4 90-degree adapters. So they're
Hmm.
just tiny little 90-degree, female to male adapters. Just makes the cabling cleaner when I plug them into my MacBook or my iPad here on the desk.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, these things must be causing the problem, right? That's got to be it. So I took that out of the
Sending the data.
mix, and then within an hour, it did it again, even with that out of the mix. And I was like, okay. So I tried it. I swapped my two MacBooks because I have a personal and a Mac and a work. Swapped those two, and it did it again on the other laptop. I'm like, you know what? Time to replace that. So I bought a little Anchor USB-C power. It has power, two USB-C and two USB-A ports, and an Ethernet port
Okay.
adapter. And it's slightly larger than this, just this dongle. So it's
Hmm.
essentially it's a miniature USB hub. Oh, I think it actually, and I think it has HDMI as well.
Yeah. It's
So it's like
powered.
a, well, it takes power. So you can put
Oh,
USBs. So one of the USB-C inputs provides power.
yeah. Good.
So I'll get a link and put it in the show notes, but yeah, it has two USB-C ports, and again, one of those can be inputs, two
So
USB-A ports, an HDMI port, and an Ethernet port.
so it's the updated version of this one because this one has
Yes,
HDMI, but then it's still got the old USB. But it
correct. And it
is.
has an additional port too. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
That's the same, but it has two legacy USB, two USB-C, and
Yeah.
HDMI. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the new one. But you can't, well, just so you know, you can't charge from this, or at least you can't charge from mine.
mine. I've been running my laptop on it for about 2 days, and battery's at 80% right now. So mine
It
charges.
must, yeah, that must have updated. But it does. So it won't pass through. Mine won't pass through. So if I plug it up to my Mac, plug up my phone into the dongle, it won't charge it. Um, but yours is newer, so apparently it
Yep.
does.
Yep. So yeah, and it's good. It's like these are just nice little quality of life upgrades.
Yeah.
They're first world problems, but they're first world upgrades too. I bought a similar one for Vermont, but it didn't have Ethernet, but it has more ports. It has like SD slots and
Mhm.
and many more ports. I think that was like $60, and this one I got was like $40.
Mhm.
But in Vermont, I have like one switch just right next to where the home, the fiber router comes into the house. So I
Mhm.
haven't really run Ethernet there yet. So, kind of want to though, because I've been noticing just like stupid things. Again, first world problems. I have all my old Sonos gear up in Vermont. So my old Generation 1 Sonos gear and one Gen 2 that supports AirPlay.
Okay.
So I can AirPlay from my phone to one Sonos device, and then from there I can group all the Sonos gear together.
Mhm.
If I group any more than one speaker and I'm streaming audio from my laptop to it, it gets choppy for
Huh.
no apparent reason. And I just don't know why. It just happens. It's sort of like my iPad switching in my video to 90 degrees.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens.
I
So
think it's
I'm
I
thinking
think it's the coffee. I think it feels insecure on the coffee
it's
cup.
jittery. It's jittery. So I don't know. Maybe next year or the year after, I'll go ahead and upgrade the wiring or install Ethernet cabling and stuff. Because I do have my contractor um, leaving holes and putting in conduits so we can run cable at a later time. So,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it'll be sooner since the walls are all still exposed right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, now might be the time to do it. So,
Yeah, I I was well, and I was curious. I had Wi-Fi 5, and I recently upgraded to Wi-Fi 6,
mhm,
and it's kind of pointless because my LAN speed is only 1 gig even on the wire.
right.
So my Wi-Fi 6, which supports 9 gig speed, is plugged up to a 1 gig wire.
Yep.
No advantage, but
But have you tried, device to device over Wi-Fi just to see what your speed really is like?
no, not really.
Because I never get like on paper, if I'm supposed to get like 1 gigabit, I'll get maybe 400 megabits if I'm lucky. I never get like the real thing. So it might actually be more of an upgrade than you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I mean, really, I don't transfer between devices as much as I used to back in the day. I mean, I,
Hmm.
I used to do a lot of that, because I was
Yeah,
transferring to a file server and accessing the file. But now I'm in OneDrive, which is right on my computer. It's not on a file server somewhere. So it's
right.
nice.
I don't move as much stuff, but like when I got my new laptop a few weeks ago, when I bought the MacBook Pro and upgraded from the MacBook Air, that's
Mm-hmm.
when I was transferring
Oh,
files directly. And that enough was in what that alone was enough for me to, or enough to prompt me to get a Thunderbolt, an upgraded USB-C cable, so that
mm-hmm.
next time I have to just move stuff, I can do it device to device, And that also was what revealed how slow this 100 megabits Ethernet adapter was, because I took this thing out and it was actually faster on Wi-Fi. So, my wireless was
Mm-hmm.
going faster than this thing. And I was like, okay, that's just not that's sad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I
Yeah.
don't have an elaborate setup. I got a couple of laptops, and then generally I've got my iPad. But I want to try that actually. Theoretically, I think my iPad might support Ethernet if I plug it into the USB-C. Supports
Yeah.
everything else on USB-C.
Yeah,
So,
because my daughters actually use their iPads to with that dongle, and they export the HDMI to the TV. So they
yeah,
use it for TV, but then you can
yep.
also plug it up with, at least mine, you can plug it up for Ethernet too.
I haven't tried. I'm going to try that. I mean, I will occasionally plug my iPad directly into my display,
Hmm.
and it's both cool and kind of silly looking at the same time. Because the resolution isn't like super, it's not super great. It feels like romper room video.
Yeah.
And the other part is like using an iPad, I'm so conditioned to touching it, like I want to touch the big screen to move stuff. I'm like, oh wait, no, gotta use a little thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is amazing, like we've talked about this, and Scott and I have talked about this numerous times, but for the average user, an iPad is a perfectly acceptable desktop replacement,
Hmm.
and a laptop replacement. It'll do everything you need to do.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll just do it. I'll just work on my iPad, just kind of like for the fun of it, just for a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then I need to do something in Excel and I get frustrated.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. If I've got to do a real spreadsheet, I can't do it on my iPad because I'm like touching, trying to get it. It's so many things that you do, especially if you're formatting a spreadsheet. You're right clicking, you're double clicking, convert to table. Yeah, all that's yeah. But anyway, but
yeah,
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 yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
If I go to a coffee shop, I'll take my iPad because I'm planning on collaborating, Teams, email, writing some documents. It's perfect,
Yep.
absolutely perfect.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. It's mostly good for reading data, for consuming data. It's not as good for generating data.
Hmm.
That's it's better though. Again, for the average person, it's perfectly fine. So
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. I now travel. I mean, I used to try to, we've talked about it with Scott, it's square peg, round hole, or even I've heard the equivalent of octagon, round hole. It'll go in there, but
something's gonna break though. Something's gonna give.
yeah, yeah. So like I just travel now with my laptop because if I need if I need that other 10%, it's like I need it. I don't just, it's not that I just want it. It's I cannot do what I need to do. Like some web forms still won't even work properly on an iPad based on how it was written. And it's one of the primary applications, you know, my Kaseya BMS application, some drop-down menus are very inefficient on the iPad. Like it only show a little bit. Then I got to scroll and then open it again. And then it's got the, it's like, this is a scroll click. It would have taken me 1 second to do.
Yeah. It's again, but your average user doesn't do that.
No.
Yeah, your average user is very one thing at a time, pointy clicky kind of stuff. So yeah,
pointy clicky.
Cool. What else we got?
Yeah. Well, are you going to do any year-end resolution? You know, start your new year off with anything new?
Nope. I already got back into meditating regularly. So I've done that for starters. But I'm not planning anything, you know, I stopped, I made New Year's resolutions for the longest time, and all they did was just, you know, frustrate me when a month or two later I stopped. So what I did to get back into the habit of meditating on a daily basis is on December 1st, I started just meditating 1 minute, and then I would just add 1 minute per day. And I kept up with it up until yesterday. I didn't start my day off right. I missed it and I completely forgot. I had a busy day. So, but I got back on the saddle today. So it's kind of nice looking at my progress, you know, you're seeing like the number of minutes, and it's just a steady stair climb, you know, like going up for the month of December. So I'm going to do that. And then, you know, I'm going to try my best to stick with my PT exercises after surgery and just keep on moving. You know, that's what I'm going to do. So.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know that I have anything. I mean, like I said, I've got to do physical therapy, and I just need to, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily like a year-end resolution kind of thing as much as, hey, I need to do this and I can't do it right now because the holidays, I'm going to be really busy and things are
just a resolution.
Yeah, just a resolution, something I need to do.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do want to get in some better conditioning than I am right now. I mean, I'm not in bad shape, but my conditioning is not as good as it normally is.
Yeah, well, we want to be in as good shape as we reasonably can, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I want to live healthily as long as I can.
Yep. Health span. That's what we're prioritizing.
Health span. That's right.
Yep. Cool. All right. Is that all we got?
I think that's all we have.
I think we covered it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't you take us out then, and make sure you give our listeners, you know, merriest Christmas greetings as well, or wishes.
Yeah. Well, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we will be back in January without resolutions. We have resolved not to resolve. But if you want to reach out to us, you can find Peter at yogawithpeter.com, friendswithbrews.com, on the Mastodon at Nikolaidis at infosec.exchange, and you can find me on Roaming Roan Lavender Farm, so rrlavenderfarm.com. And, you know, in this new interface, we shall hit the big red button.
Big red button.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
They hid the button.
Yeah. Stop recording. There we go.